Okay, so this video is to show you how to make your own personal little mannequin that can be used for lots of different things. To draw from, gesture drawing, to show students how the body actually moves, that with our joints we can only bend in certain directions. It's also a fun way to create animated movies using the mannequin. So, these are the supplies you're going to need. Some yarn. I prefer thicker yarn or very fibrous yarn because to wrap to get a body shape, the fat yarn works best. You need a pipe cleaner and a half. I like using these colossal pipe cleaners. They're about 21 inches long, but you can use any type of pipe cleaner, and this is really the basic armature for your mannequin. So, and then you'll need some craft glue, a pair of scissors. If you want to shape the head like I did out of Model Magic, that I like to work with a little Q-tip with the Model Magic, and some, of course, tacky glue, like I said, or craft glue. So, what you do to start out is you take your long pipe cleaner and bend it in half. And this forms basically the major part of the body and the legs. And so we just kind of want to twist the top a little bit. This is where the head is going to fit on. The head kind of slides off if you want to take it off. So we just want to make a little thing for the head. Then we're going to wrap about 2 or 3 times to create a neck. And then you can wrap down a little bit to create the main part of the body. And this is a good time to work with students to kind of talk about proportions of the body. How a body is usually considered to be 7 heads high, so however high or however long your head is, you can measure 7 from your leg on up to the top of the head. You're going to use the short one as the shoulders and the arms. So you want to leave, I'd say on these pipe cleaners that's about 1/2 inch maybe for the head to fit on, and then another 1/2 inch for the neck. Then you're going to take this and just twist it and bring it back around, and that'll be the back, and there's your arms. Now the arms are a little long, but what I do then is bend this over to make the hand so that you don't have a sharp point, and I bend the bottom of the legs to make the feet. So basically that's what we have right now. Now you can use as many colors of yarn as you want, but pretty much most of the time I have the students stick with 2. One for from the waist down to the ankles, and then one from the waist up to the shoulders and to the wrists. So this is going to be, in effect, my pants. And so what you'll do with this is find your waist, and usually that's about halfway between the neck and the start of the legs. So right about in there. And I just have the students make a knot and tie it off. Now, when we're doing this, we talk about how the body proportions work, and that, if you look at our legs from the hip to the knee, it's about the same distance as from the knee to the ankle. And so, you could bend this leg to have them see that, right there's the knee joint. And you can do the same with the arm. From the shoulder to the elbows about halfway, so that would be the shape or size of your arm, or where the joints are. So, and we also talk about how we don't want these to be stick figures, and we talk about where muscles are on the body, and where we tend to have more muscles and fat, and where we have less. So to build it up, you can do one of several things actually. If you don't want to use a lot of yarn, you can take the fiber fill and kind of using the glue, kind of spread a little glue and build this up so that you're making it a little fatter, and then you can start wrapping the yarn around it. I don't do that too often because it seems to be a challenge for the students to do that, but I think for older students they could probably handle that. So this is a challenge in itself for kids to learn to wrap, and I think it's easier to start at the waist and work your way down the legs. Okay, as you can see, I have one leg wrapped, and that's a pretty good thickness, about the thickness of your finger. And you can see the difference. This one I'm working on building up, and it's just a process of going around and around, and I usually have the kids work their way down the leg, then work their way back up, and then maybe down and back again. And you'll have to check them because they tend to make everything real skinny, and you want them to kind of build up. And as they're wrapping, they need to be kind of tightening it up, each layer, so that when you're all finished, it will not unravel. So it's just a process of wrap, 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 and keep going until you think you've got the right thickness. If you have an actual wooden mannequin in your classroom, it's good to use that as an example to show where the legs are thinner and thicker. But right now, that's probably a good size for this mannequin. Now we're at the junction of the legs, so we need to come back up, and I always tell them they need to really widen the pelvic area, or the area below the waist, a little bit. And you can see I went up a little high on the pants, but that'll add a little extra padding for when I put the shirt on. So I'm just going to keep wrapping this area a little bit more. And once I get it to where I think it's pretty proportional, might need a little more right there, I'm going to come back up and, whoops, cut this off. And you can tie it, but I've found that for the kids, if we just use a little bit of the glue and put the glue on there like that, and then just pull the yarn, then we're going to start wrapping the other yarn for the shirt on top of that. So right now our mannequin is about halfway there. Okay, and then there's the front and the back. And so now we'll start the shirt, and I'm using a little bit different color. It's actually a variegated yarn, and I'm going to tie this one again with a little knot. Okay, I've got the upper part of the body wrapped, and now I'm ready to kind of start around the arms. So it's kind of a crisscross. You go around, this is what I found works best for the shoulders, kind of. And I usually cut long pieces off for the students. I don't let them have a whole spool of yarn because others might want to use it. And if that's the case, then they just tie the next piece on to the one that they're ending, or they just wrap over the top like you saw me do on the body. So once I get the shoulders, I work my way down the arm. Okay, so we have one arm pretty much wrapped, and now I'm going to do the X again and come back around, and then I'll start wrapping around this arm. This tends to be the area where the kids probably will have the biggest challenge, but I've also found this is a good time to have peer teachers, because one student figures it out, and they love sharing what they did with another one, and they're real good about helping each other. So now you can see the difference. This arm is kind of built up, and this arm is still skinny, so we're still working on getting the right proportions on the arm. And you notice I'm not going clear to the end of the pipe cleaner because those are going to be the hands. And the students got pretty creative when we did this. Some of them, you know, made belts and used felt and other materials and made skirts. So it's, I think it kind of has an element of fashion design in it too. Okay, so I think the next step would be to look at it and make sure that you feel like the proportions are pretty close. It looks to me like this arm is pretty close. It might be a little bigger, and so if that's the case, I can just go over here and wrap around this one a little bit more to build it up. Okay, so I'm getting ready to end, and I like to end right up here around the neck. So I usually loop through like pull it through, and then again just wrap it and take the glue and put a little glue there. And Model Magic comes in all different neutral tones and skin tones. So I bought a package of the natural or skin tones. That's probably about the right amount. What we need to do is kind of push this down onto the pipe cleaner and kind of create that little cavity. Now this is where it could get pretty misshapen. So what I do is I have the kids push it on there, and then we take it and kind of roll it to get it smoother, to make more of a head shape. And okay, I kind of work with the bottom. Now, as far as making the face, this is just my way. I like to use a pipe cleaner. And so I give the kids, you know, I tell them to pinch a little off before they make the head, and they're going to make their nose and kind of make a coil and put their nose on. And when the Model Magic is fresh or wet, it pretty much sticks to itself. So you use the end of the little Q-tip and you can make the nostrils. And then to make the ears, I pinch it in two pieces and kind of just make little spheres, press them down, and we position them in the right spot. They should be kind of on the same plane as the nose. Now, you can go to the next step, which is creating the indentations for the eye sockets, and you can use your Q-tip to kind of press in to do that. And you can see kind of what that looks like right there. And usually I pretty much leave it at that, because then they can go, when it's dry, they can go in with their markers and put the pupils of the eyes in. You may want to let them put the lips on, but I found that when they start doing that, it gets a little carried away and the lips are really not very proportional. So once that's done, then it's ready to sit and dry. And like I said, this once the head is finished and dry, you can draw on it to create the rest of the facial features. You can even color on it to create the hair. I've even had people take the yarn and glue the yarn on to make hair that way. And you can even use a different color Model Magic to make the hair. So there's lots of possibilities